Hello, welcome to Billion Happy Life Subscribers Marathon. We are reading Messiah's coming speech with the powerful quotes for the day. Please subscribe and turn on suggestion playlists and listen God's words daily to make better your life and better in relationship in your family, community, countries, and the whole world. As we are reading this world scriptures about the peace, let's go to the next speech, The Way to World Peace. August 28, 1991, the Little Angels Performing Arts Center, Seoul, Korea. Inauguration of the Federation for World Peace. Respected President and former heads of states, international leaders from all walks of life, estimate scholars and leadership of religion. Today, upon the founding of the Federation for World Peace, I am very honored and pleased by the presence of such distinguished leaders of the world. Please accept my heartfelt gratitude for coming and for making this ceremony most memorable. From the beginning of human history until the present time, there has never been a period when people did not long for lasting peace. Nor has there ever been a person who did not wish deeply in his heart for true peace during his lifetime. Yet, contrary to the desires of all people, and in spite of our great achievement, humanity has yet to secure world peace. Quite the contrary has been the case. At no time has human life been free of war and bloodshed. Why is this so? In contemporary history, humankind has experienced the two world wars in 1914 with the assassination of the Austrian Archduke of Sarajevo in the Bosnia. The First World War was ended. Eventually, this war ended with the whole of Europe and beyond. 16 nations were involved. In the end, at least 30 million men and women were either dead or wounded. It was European worst cataclysm. Hope for the League of the Nations and the United Nations unfulfilled. The inhumanity and severity of this war caused world leaders to acutely realize the need to strive for world peace at all costs to end all wars. On the wave of this genuine desire for peace and longing for improvement of human welfare, President Woodrow Wilson of the United States spread the founding of the League of the Nations. Although the League handled over 40 political disputes with varying desires of success, its inability to resolve major crises between the powers eventually led to its failure. Sadly, President Wilson could not even bring the United States to participate in the League, and his noble dream for peace failed. The world's ardent desire to put an end to war remained unfulfilled. Less than 20 years after the ending of World War II to World War I, humankind faced another cataclysm war. At that time, World War II indulged not only the Atlantic region, but the Pacific region as well. Many more millions of human beings were the victims of war, suffering injury, displacements, and death. Only after the atomic bomb was used against Japan did this most tragic world war came to an end. Once more, world leaders were alarmed and anguished. They sought to find a means to prevent the world from again becoming a living hell through war. The fruit of their efforts was the United Nations, whose charter was drowned on April 25, 1945. April 25, 1945, in San Francisco. The history of the United Nations has thus spanned 46 years until today. Yet, has the United Nations been able to alleviate the tragedy of the war? Is humanity living in peace? Unfortunately, the answer to this question is no. Even after the founding of the United Nations, wars have continued to break out. And there have been more than 60 wars and skirmishes since the end of the World War II, including the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Persian Gulf War. The tragic cycle of human destruction continues as before. Why is peace so difficult to achieve? Today, we are gathering them together for the inauguration of the World Federation for World Peace. Before we proceed, however, bearing in mind the revolution record of humankind, we must thinking deeply and analyze accurately as to why peace is so difficult to achieve. Without knowing the cause of the war, without deep analyzing of the past, we may very well repeat the past history and fail to achieve the noble goals and ambitions of this federation. Peace cannot come without God. Ladies and gentlemen, up until this time, people have long negotiated for peace without having a true philosophy of peace. Without this philosophy of peace, there can be no true methodology for achieving peace. Dear honored guest, the fundamental reason that peace has constantly eluded humankind is rather simply yet profound. Human beings have lost their relationship with God. Because of that, they have lost the ability to attain true peace. Since that time, men and women have repeatedly tried to restore peace, but have met with failure after failure because they have been trying without God. This is the fundamental error humankind has been committing. This is the real reason why we have not yet achieved peace. God is the source of the true love and true peace. Yet in this world which God created, the inhabitants are pitted against each other in war and mutual killing. This is completely paradoxal. God created man and woman in his own image. Furthermore, God created us as holy temples in which God himself, wants to dwell. Suppose each individual were a perfected temple of God, and that each individual were living every minute of every day with the Spirit of God dwelling within him or herself. In this situation, could one person war against another? In the original world of God's creation, people struggling against each other would be something like you right hand fight against the left hand, or even more, your hand pulling out your own eyes. In other words, in the ideal world of creation, it would be impossible to have war. In this world, people would be incapable only of loving each other and harmonizing together. The only challenges would be in ways to glorify our Creator better and further. In such a world, there would be no conflict, no misunderstanding, and there would only be a harmony, cooperation, and mutual assistance. There would be unity among people in the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty. This would truly be the world of peace that everyone seeks. This world would reflect the nature of God, whose primary characteristic is unselfishness, unselfish love, and peace. In religious terms, this is calling the kingdom of God on earth. The basic of such a world is worldview of Godism or headwind thought. Yet God, if God is Almighty, He is certainly capable of realizing a world of peace and happiness of all humanity. If this type of world could not be achieved, then we would be forced to conclude that there is no God. This is the original ideal of peace, of true peace, in the creation. Our separation from God at the dawn of human history, when God began to realize his world, something tragic happened. Our first human ancestors lost God. God created one man and one woman to be the beginning point of humankind. In religious terms, they are called Adam and Eve. Tragically, at the outset of human history, they committed sin. And by not allowing God to dwell in them, they were expelled by God from his kingdom. At that very moment, with their departure from God, men and women failed to achieve their potential and were unable to become temples of God. At that moment, peace was lost. Instead, they became the temples of Satan, whose characteristic is selfishness. Since this occurred at the very start of human history with the very first human ancestors, all their descendants up to the present generations have grappled with the arduous task of finding God. Without the knowledge of God as our true Father and the understanding of the all humans are true brothers and sisters, people have become each other's enemy. Originally, if you were to hurt someone else, it would be the same as hurting yourself, since the same God is dwelling in both. But humankind has become spiritually darkened under the present tragic conditions when one kills one's own brothers or sister, one might not even feel any pain. Furthermore, to make this worse, since people have becoming the dwelling place of Satan, each person is aware only of the self and not the whole. The natural result is the manifestation of selfishness from the level of individual to the level family, society, nations, and world. With this limited outlook, when someone's own interest of profit is violated, he or she is ready to fight. War is thus inevitable. This is the real reason of war on any level. Then what does God intended to do with this fallen world? God is living and God is almighty. As I said, God is God of love. God, our creator, has a will. That will is to restore the world into the world's true peace. In other words, he will restore the world of his original nature and ideal by recreating the present world. For this reason, there is hope for true peace in the future. God's will is to eradicate selfishness from each individual, then transform or recreate the person into his own temple and make all people holy. For this reason, true peace between nations begin not at the national level, but with the perfection of the individual. Each person, by becoming the temples of God, is perfected. This is where world peace is germinated. Each one of you, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning point of the world peace. Did you know there has been a constant war going on within each of us because of the human fall? It is an inevitable consequence of the fall that there is continuous struggle and conflict going on within ourselves, between mind and body, and between the desire for good and the desire for evil. Originally, mind and body were to be one. The human mind represents God's mind. The human body is to be a container of to accommodate the mind or dwelling place for the mind. Separation came between these two when the fall occurred. The fall resulted in body committing under the domain of Satan or selfishness. Thus, tragically, the human body has become the servant of Satan. On the other hand, the human conscience is the agent of God in the individual person. One's conscience does not exist for the benefit of oneself. God's planned the conscience for the sake of righteousness. Thus, the conscience always strives toward the goodness and unselfishness, yet the body rebels against this conscience. The body only seeks after comfort and tends to act selfishly, going after central carnal desire. And the conscience, in turn, is trying to chastise the body and direct it toward the mind. This is why there is always inevitable conflict and struggle within oneself. This is the reason the traditional religions of the world unanimously teach the principles of chastisement of the body through fasting, prayer, and other disciplines, doing things the body does not want to do. Religious is the training ground where the desire of the body is suppressed. This thus bringing the body to obeying the will of the mind. For this reason, religion has been the instrument of God to bring people back into the original ideal. However, people are not capable of dominating their body without uniting with God within the self. The only power that enables the mind and body dominion over the body is that general by the unity of the mind and God, truth and love. Mind is the subject partner and the body is the object partner. God's love and truth have the power to bring them together into the harmonious person. This is what religion defines as a person of perfection or a holy person, becoming visible manifestation of God. Let's read tomorrow. Have a great blessed day. Subscribe and share this and comment with your ideas. What do you think about? All the best. Yours, Nikolai.